Okay, third graders, this is our last review chapter. It is chapter 59, Om's Message. And we need to remember that Om is a porpoise who can talk to Molly and her dad, and he is an important messenger between the two of them. Peter trotted down the beach toward Molly, who was now waist-deep in the moonlit cove, squeaking and chittering as she waded toward the upthrust, grinning snout of Om. James trotted alongside Peter and said, "What is it? What's she doing?" "She's talking to the porpoise," said Peter. "His name is Om." "Fish can talk?" said James. "This one can," said Peter. "What's it saying?" said James, as they reached the water's edge. "I dunno," said Peter. "I don't speak porpoise, but Molly does. She'll tell us." They were now standing next to Molly, with Om several feet in front of them, listening politely. Molly, desperate for news from her father, forced herself to remember the mandatory opening formalities of porpoise talk. "Greetings," she said. "Greetings," said Om. "Molly teeth green," said Molly. "Yes," Om agreed. "Molly teeth green. Molly happy see Om," she said. The porpoise language has 237 words that mean happy, and Molly had actually chosen the one denoting the happiness derived from having one's belly tickled by seaweed. Om doubted that Molly was feeling this particular happiness, but out of politeness used the same word in responding. "Om happy see Molly," he said. With the formalities concluded, Molly took a breath and frowned in concentration, not wanting to make any mistakes as she got to the critical question. "Molly father come?" Om paused for several moments, during which Molly did not breathe. Then Om said, "Yes, Molly father come." Molly exhaled, and in English they said, "Thank heaven." "What?" Peter said. "He says my father is coming," said Molly. "When?" said Peter. "I don't know," said Molly. Switching back to porpoise, she said, "When Molly father come?" "Day," said Om. Molly frowned. "What day?" Om hesitated, as if confused by the question, then repeated, "Day." "Day," said Molly. "Day," said Om. "What's he saying?" said Peter. "I'm not actually sure," said Molly. "I think he's saying day, but my porpoise is not very good, and the porpoise language is vague about time. If he is saying day, he could mean my father is coming tomorrow, but I think he also could be saying it will be more days." "I hope he means tomorrow," said Peter. "Yes," said Molly, "but even that might be too late. If the pirates have the trunk, we must—" She was interrupted by more chittering from Om. Molly listened, struggling to follow the sounds. The only part she caught was "bad man." "Again, please," she said. Om spoke again, more deliberately. This time Molly caught "bad man" again, and "light." Molly pondered that. Light. What could he mean by— "Oh, no," she said. "What?" said Peter. "I think he's saying the pirates have the trunk," said Molly. "Does he know where they are?" said Peter. "Where bad man?" Molly asked Om. "Where light?" "Molly come," said Om. He darted a few yards to the left, toward the rocky, wave-lashed point at the left end of the cove, then repeated, "Molly come." "He wants us to follow," said Molly. To Om she said, "Molly come." Om whirled and plunged into the water, surfacing just moments later 25 yards farther along the beach, toward the point of land, chittering, "Come." Peter and James trotted diagonally back to the beach, then on a parallel course with the porpoise, who kept popping up to make sure they were following him. Alf and the other boys, thoroughly mystified, trotted along behind. "What are we doing, lad?" panted Alf. "Following the porpoise," said Peter. "But why?" shouted Tubby Ted, bringing up the rear. "It's a talking porpoise," shouted James. "It's taking us to the treasure." "It's what?" said Alf and Tubby Ted at the same time. "He's right," said Peter over his shoulder. "But who has the treasure?" "It's them pirates." "Is that it, lad?" Alf questioned. "Yes, we think so," Peter admitted. "And Molly has to get the trunk back from them." "Well, then, why didn't you say so? I wouldn't miss it," said Alf. "Same," said James. Thomas and Prentice said nothing, but, not wanting to be left alone on this increasingly strange island, trotted along with the group, as did the panting, incessantly complaining Tubby Ted. They trotted for 100 yards, at which point the beach curved sharply to the right, along a steeply rising lava slope. At the end lay the point where huge ocean rollers, having traveled unhampered across thousands of miles of open ocean, slammed thundering into massive lava formations, sending spray high into the air. Continued to follow the coast, heading out toward the end of the point. On shore, the little band of humans followed, but as the hard-packed beach sand gave way to sharp, treacherously hole-ridden lava, the footing instantly became near impossible, and the going was very slow. Peter stopped for a moment, then studied the slope. "Look," he said to Molly. "Has to swim round that point. He can't use the land, but we can. It would be a lot quicker for us to just climb this hill and meet him at the water on the other side." Molly considered the hill, then shook her head. "We don't know what's on the other side of this hill. It might be another cove, but it might also be more island. We could be back in the jungle and lost. Besides, may be leading us to the end of this point." "But we can't keep up with him, not on these rocks," said Peter. He gestured toward the others, who were picking their way over the dark lava rock by rock with agonizing slowness. Was far ahead now, an intermittent speck of light gray in the dark rolling water. "I've got to stay with him," said Molly. "I don't dare lose him." "All right, then," said Peter. "I'll climb this hill and see what I see. Water or land, either way, I'll come back and tell you." Molly looked doubtful. "You'll come back, right?" she said. "I'll find you," he said. Their eyes met for a moment. "All right," she said. And with that, Peter was gone, clambering up the steep rocky hillside, leaving the others to struggle along in the pursuit of wherever he was leading them.